What is going on, guys? This is Sunday's sermon, live and unrehearsed. This is something that I wanted to do live because it means quite a lot to me. So if you don't know my story or the last recent year or so, had some pretty crazy things going on. I think we all have. Crazy couple of years. If there's one thing I've been fortunate and unfortunate in, is that I've experienced more death, more loss than I like to think about. And I say fortunate because that's been one of my greatest teachers. It's also made me stronger and more courageous than the average man, so I'm able to help other men deal with those events in life. It's part of life. Seem to live in a death-phobic society. Everyone seems so afraid of dying, but no one seems to actually want to live. As men, we have to be monsters at times. We have to be emotionless. Now, let's say your partner dies, your wife, the mother of your kids, maybe their grandma. While the kids are crying and everyone at the funeral is falling apart and there's financial expenses and things like that, there's you, the man, that has to keep everything together on top of what you're probably already struggling with. So be ready for these moments, because they are what make or break us. They're what define us. And I can tell you, these are the things that we remember. Now, I was talking to my Gran, Marjory, through video calls. She was getting a little bit out of touch with reality, as you do in those older years, but we still had some good conversations. And shout out to my cousin Trey Lee for making those happen. Now, small effort on her part, what it may seem, but they're moments I'll remember for the rest of my life in a good way. Couldn't travel because of the obvious things that I won't go into on this one. I don't want to honor my grandma's memory talking about that. So not only could I not travel the last few years, couldn't make it to the funeral, as my passport had been taken for other reasons. But this is life. And also the fortunate thing for me, like I said, I know what it's like to go to many funerals. And I want to give you this simple but powerful lesson. It's not the time spent with someone in regards to the length of time. It's not the grand gesture of showing up at their funeral. It's the time between when they're born and when they die, and that small part that is with you. Even if it's for a moment. It can change your life, it can change their life. You can remember it for the rest of your life. If you make the effort. I don't just mean to see your grandparents or to call your sister. Last time I saw my grandfather on my dad's side, I grabbed his arm and I said, "Hey, give me some good life advice." I suggest you do that with your elders. They generally racked up some pretty good advice by that age. He said, "Life is a collection of good and bad memories. It's up to you to create as many good ones as you can." Notice he didn't say avoid the bad ones or create bad ones. He focused on the good. Now, my grandmother was possibly the most unconditionally loving person I ever met. And she used to say to me this all the time: yesterday's history. Tomorrow's a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. Now, I never really thought too much into that, apart from it was kind of cool poem. But My grandmother experienced more pain, more trauma, more heartache than the average person should have to, yet was still the most unconditionally loving person I ever met. Now, some of you may know my mother died from being an alcoholic. That was her daughter. And I can't imagine the pain and the stress that causes to a mother. But even after this, even after a divorce from who I believe was a terrible man, Gran kept it together. Gran stayed loving. Gran did the right thing. Gran was there for everyone. All the time up until her death. I wish I had 1/10 of that woman's unconditional love. Because here's the thing, this is something we say in the DFP quite often as men. Hate and anger will destroy everything that you love. Hate and anger will destroy everything that you love. Now, why would you want to destroy what you love? And hate and anger come from fear. What are we afraid of? Loving, forgiving, moving on, doing the right thing even though you don't feel like it. I don't have too many regrets in my life, but I can tell you at my mother's funeral I sat in the second row for some unknown reason. I mean, from memory it felt like kind of a big fuck you for putting me second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth to her partners and alcohol and things like that. But now, having adopted my Christian lifestyle and being more forgiving and being more understanding, hurt people, hate and anger will destroy everything that you love. I really wish that I didn't do that. Not for myself and not so much for my mother, but Gran was there. And I knew she hated seeing that anger and hate inside of me. It's why the time I took the time to make this video. I dedicate this sermon to her. Because through my career, especially in the speaking chapter of it, no one ever really encouraged me. No one ever supported me. No one liked the controversial but true and accurate shit that I say. Gran did. She loved it. I would not change a single word I say for anyone, especially you watching. But I never swore around that woman. And this is how we get the best out of the people that we love. This is how we get the best out of the people that we don't like. It's not about being tough or right or smarter or getting revenge or vengeance. Those things might feel good at the time, but you're going to find out the hard way that they don't eventually. And you wish you had the strength, you wish you had the compassion, you wish you had the courage to be the bigger person, to be the one who's loving, at the very least forgiving. If you really want to hurt someone, if you really want to get back at someone, help them. And if you can't help them, simply do nothing. Because wanting to hurt someone, wanting to get revenge, wanting to be right, wanting to prove a point when it's unnecessary, it's like holding on to a hot coal and expecting the other person to be hurt. Not easy. But neither is living a life full of hate and anger. And as I get older and as I get wiser and as I reflect on Marjory's life, I realize how incredibly strong and powerful that woman was, and how fortunate I was to have her in my life in the small parts that I did. So whether you lost someone through a breakup or death, or maybe you lost a career, I get it, it hurts and it sucks, and maybe you're angry. But if there's no one to help in the situation, including yourself, then simply forgive, forget, move on, and love yourself enough to do the right thing. You don't have to love the other people, you don't have to forgive the other people, but love yourself enough with that unconditional love from God or wherever my grandmother pulled that strength from to say, alright, cool, this happened. Tomorrow's a mystery. So I love you, Gran. It's dedicated to you and your beautiful life. Watching her slip away through a video call last year was quite difficult. But from the Ukraine conflict to work issues to legal issues, I became very sidetracked. But as I reflected and thought about what's important to me, I remembered what mattered to most people. And while I can't say that to her while she's no longer here, like I said, it's those small moments that count the most. It's those small actions that count the most. And I had some great conversations with her last year and the year before. So don't feel bad for me. Death is a part of life. Challenge is a part of life. I'm just being transparent about it, which is what I suggest you guys do. Don't be a fucking man and just man up. Talk about shit. Get it off your chest. Have the balls to stay on a live video when someone's talking about some deep shit. Oh, I might feel something. I might learn something. Maybe. Gran used to say to me, you're as smooth as a sledgehammer. Good. Dan Fitz, street preacher. Godspeed and God bless. Tomorrow is guaranteed to no one. So say what you need to say and do what you need to do. And if it ain't helping people, if it ain't loving people, if it isn't experiencing as much as you can in a positive way on this process called your life, forget about it.